Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. Gene Joke here, and today I'm doing a review and ranking of Risky Woods from the Pico Collection 4 for the Evercade. Risky Woods was developed by Dynamic Software and Zeus Software. Now I think Dynamic were the publishers, but I'm not entirely sure. Dynamic were a Spanish developer and publisher. They mainly did 8-bit titles, a number of which have appeared on the various retro games, mini home micro console things such as Army Moves, Navy Moves, Dust-In, Game Over and Game Over 2, and so on and so forth. According to Wikipedia, Risky Woods was their final game, but as I mentioned is a co-production with Zeus Software, who don't have many games under their belt, but they do have another one on the Evercade, Biomechanical Toy. But this review is of Risky Woods, so let's focus on that, shall we? It was released for the Amiga, MS-DOS and the Atari ST, as well as the Sega Mega Drive, which is the version we have on the Evercade. The Mega Drive port had some changes. The main sprite was slightly altered, because in the other versions he looks like he has a more contemporary style of clothing. But in the Mega Drive version he has robes which better fits the fantasy genre that it's going for. There's a couple of other graphical differences, such as the toll key things you pick up looking a bit different. The plot of Risky Woods involves some ancient monks that preserve wisdom throughout the lands have been frozen in stone by the evil wizard Draxus. You play Rohan and you must plunge into the Risky Woods, rescue them and defeat Draxus. Now I also believe that in some regions the game was released as Draxus rather than Risky Woods, which is probably a better title in my opinion. Risky Woods just sounds like somewhere you perhaps would be a bit dubious about going and having a turd. As you can no doubt see, the gameplay is essentially 2D platforming sort of hack and slash type stuff, and that side of things is pretty decent. There are weapon upgrades to get, and enemies will drop coins, and if you pick up enough, you'll upgrade to having armour. Get even more and you'll get golden armour, which naturally does what armour does and protects you, makes you harder to kill, and in some ways acts a bit like the rings from Sonic. On each level there tends to be 2 toll gates. You'll pick up a key during the level. When you reach the toll gates there's a guardian which will essentially get you to perform a game of Simon Says. If you get to the gates without having picked up the key, it will kill you. There's also a time limit which, while not exactly tight, can become very tight due to pickups. There are a few pickups in the game and some of them are randomised. You might get points or put to sleep and have your time counter waste away while you nap. You might just be killed and sent back to the previous checkpoint. And often they will land right next to the iToll key things that you have to pick up, which naturally can lead to some frustration in the game. Also, when it comes to saving the monks from their stone prisons, some are good and some are bad. The good ones will damage enemies on screen and the bad ones will damage you. There's a few frustrations which really do hamper enjoyment of this game. Without these rather interesting design choices, I think it would be a fantastic 16-bit hack and slash platformer. And playing it on the Evercade with save states, you can mitigate the frustration caused by these design oddities. You'll face a few bosses throughout the game, and while they look impressive enough, they're not overly challenging, but also not too annoying to beat either. It's not an absolutely massive game, and I assume what I've referred to as interesting design choices were put in there to extend the length of the game by making it more challenging. Overall, I think the graphics and presentation are very good. The sound and music is pretty good. The bass of the music is the most Mega Drive sounding bass you'll ever hear, but the pace of the music suits the game and all generally works. Overall, it's a game I like despite its shortcomings, although I'm sure other people might find it a bit too frustrating to persevere with. But it is my jam, and while I wouldn't call it a flawed masterpiece or a hidden gem, it definitely has a lot to appeal to people like me. To place it in my growing list of every Evercade game as I rank them, I would have to place it above Creatures 2 but just below Broken Sword Shadow of the Templars. Well, that's it for this review. I hope you found it mildly interesting or informative. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.